Okay, so I'm just going to move this over just a touch. There we go. Okay, so the second strategy that we're going to learn is when equations are in slope-intercept form. Now, I'm using a program called Desmos. It's extremely powerful because it allows you to manipulate the equations just by using a little button, and it shows you what it does to the graph. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to m is equal to 1. So I'm going to show you, there's kind of like little tricks. When the equation is in slope-intercept form, if you see that, slope-intercept form, and which means that it's y is equal to, y is equal to, y is equal to. Okay, so here I have y is equal to mx plus b. In grade 9, you don't really have to know y is equal to mx plus b, but in grade 10, you do. So the m and the b are called parameters. And parameters are values that if you change them, it will change the shape of your graph. The x and the y are variables, and the x and the y give you the values like how far left and how far right, how far up and how far down you go on the Cartesian plane. So that's the difference. Look what happens when I'm just going to move this down here. So right now I'm just going to investigate the b. So if I change the b to any value, it actually moves the entire graph up and down. So here this is plus 2. Here it's minus 1. Here it's minus, oh, you can't see that, 4. Here it's let's go up to the pluses. Here it's plus 4. So really what you're changing here is the y-intercept. If you take a look, y-intercept is 3. My b is equal to 3. My y-intercept here is 2. My b is equal to plus 2. So the b, look here, oh, I already just did that one. Here b is equal to 1. My y-intercept is 1. It even happens at 0. If I don't have anything, if I'm not plusing or minus anything, it actually goes through the origin. Okay, so that's what b does. It actually changes your y-intercept of your graph. So let's start changing the m and see what happens to the graph when I do that. So right now m is 1. And notice how my graph opens to the right. Okay, let's go m is equal to 2. Well, it didn't change my y-intercept, but it actually made my graph a little bit more steep. What happens if I change it to m is equal to 3? Well, once again, it didn't change my y-intercept, but the graph actually just slants upward a little bit more. Still rising to the right, still opening up to the right as x increases, y increases, right? But it just makes it a little bit more steep. And the same thing if m is equal to 4, just becomes a little more steep. You notice how as I increase that m, my line just becomes a little bit more steep. Well, let's investigate when m is equal to 0. Well, if m is equal to 0, let's just change so you can see the b. So b is equal to -2. So that's my y-intercept. That never changes. But if m is equal to 0, well, that makes 0 times x is 0. So actually, I'll only have y is equal to b, and I'll get that horizontal line that I was talking about. I'm not too concerned about you knowing about that in grade 9. In grade 10, that's pretty important. But look what happens. I'm going to change. Okay, well, I'll keep my y-intercept at -2. Look what happens when I change my slope to a negative value. It opens in that opposite direction. So -2 becomes a little more steep, still opening up to the left. So when graphs are actually in slope-intercept form, so they're in that y is equal to mx plus b form, the m is actually the slope of the graph. It tells you how steep the line is, and it shows you the direction it's slanted towards. You can use this information in order to take away or to eliminate some of your choices. So if you ever had to guess on your exam, at least you have like a 50-50 chance or maybe a 75% chance of getting it correct. So these are just strategies that you can eliminate certain graphs. The y-intercept is always the b. No matter wherever it crosses that y-axis, if the equation is in this form, it will always be the b. We're going to use this information in order to help us solve this. So here my m is equal to 2 and my b is equal to 0 because it's plus 0. When there's nothing, you add the 0 and it means that's what it means. Here my m is equal to 4 because that's the numerical coefficient, and the b is equal to 0. And here, there goes that invisible 1 again. My m is equal to -1 and my b is equal to 0. So I know that the b equal to 0 is not going to help me because all of my graphs should be going through the origin. But I know this one matches that graph because it's the only one that rises to the left. When my slopes are negative, my graph has to rise to the left. So this is y is equal to -x. I don't even have to check the points. I already know that's the case. The other two are a little bit more difficult because since m are positive, both of them rise to the right. So I have to check, even though I know that m is equal to 4, it will rise a little bit more quickly. I definitely want to check them just in case because of the scaling and stuff like that. So I'm just going to create a few little, a little table, 0, 1, and 2. We know that's 0. That would be 4, and that's going to be 8. So now I go 0, 0, 1, 4, 2, 8. I know that this is y is equal to 4x. I can do the same thing over here. 0, 0. I know 1, 2, and I know 2, 4. If I create my table, 0, 0, 1, 2, and 2, 4. Okay, so I know that this is y is equal to 2x. Okay, so that information are just little tricks that you can use in order to kind of eliminate some of the graphs or like narrow down the choices. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Once again, they have to be in the y is equal to form. See, y is equal to, y is equal to, y is equal to. Okay, so here we have m is equal to 2. Oh, sorry, b is equal to +1. Here m is equal to 2. B is equal to +3. Here m is equal to 2. B is equal to -3. Do you see the negative? It's actually equal to -3. So here the m's are all consistent, but now we're talking about the y-intercepts. So let's go. Here my y-intercept is 1. Where do you see a b equal to 1? Well, that's your case. This has to be y is equal to 2x plus 1. That's the only one where my b is equal to 1. Here, my b is equal to -5, and I remember now this was supposed to be -5. My apologies, I should have corrected that. So my b was -5. So here, it's the only one where I have a b is -5 and I have a y-intercept equal to -5. That has to be the matching graph. And here I have +3. I have a b of +3. It's the only one, so this must be 2x plus 3. Now, if you're not sure and you're not confident with this, if you create the table, match the points, you're still going to get it right. You can still use strategy 1 for this, but this is, again, it's a little trick. It has to be in slope-intercept form. It has to be y is equal to, y is equal to, y is equal to. You can't have it in standard form in this work. Okay, so please don't forget your horizontal and your vertical lines. You can still match your horizontal and vertical lines. Y is equal to 4. I know no matter what my x's are, my y is always 4. So it doesn't matter 0, 1, 2. My y's are always equal to 4. This is my graph where y is equal to 4. My y is equal to -4. This is the graph right here. Y is equal to -4. Because it doesn't matter what my x's are, y is always equal to -4. Remember, your horizontal and your vertical lines only have one variable. X is equal to 4. When you create your table, it doesn't matter what your y's are. X is always 4. That will never change. That's what that means. X will always be 4 no matter what your y's is. You can choose any value of y there. So x is 4. This is the only point or the only graph where you see x is 4. Y's, you notice, y's are a whole bunch of different values. Here's positive 1. Here's 4, -3. So it doesn't matter what point you choose. Whoops. It doesn't matter what point you choose on that line. It's always going to equal, x will always equal to -4. And also x is equal to -4. Did I just say -4 over there? Sorry. Here, x is equal to -4 is that vertical line at -4. So we just learned two different strategies. You can create a table for any graph or for any equation, and you can match the corresponding graph. You can choose any of your x values in order to create your table, make it easy for yourself. And then there's a couple little tricks in strategy 2. So when it's in y is equal to form, or y is equal to mx plus b, you can use the information that you know about slopes, that they're positive. If the slope is positive, if m is positive, it rises to the right. If m is negative, it rises to the left. B will always be your y-intercept. That's where it crosses that y-axis. So you can look at that B and you can, at least narrow down your choices. So you have to do a couple pages of assigned work, page 188, 190, and questions 4, 6, 8, and 9b. Check your answers. If you're finished early, you want a little challenge, please feel free to do number 13 on page 90. And then make sure you hand in that assessment focus to me. It's not in the screen. Maybe I can try get it in the screen. I don't think so. But that's okay. Then hand in that assessment focus to me.